Head-to-head mock draft time, your AFC South edition, all brought to you by Legendary GM. All right, Mike, we went head-to-head. Both did our own independent 3-round mocks, and let's compare our results. We try to keep this realistic and find players that we like on our draft board. Let's start with the Houston Texans. Looks like our draft started out pretty similar here. We both had Dalton Risner available, and both excited to take him with the 23rd pick overall.
Yeah, Texans tackles have allowed the most pressures in the NFL each of the past 2 seasons. Someone needs to worry about Deshaun Watson's health. That's what we're here for. Dalton Risner, NFL ready in terms of pass protection at the tackle position. I think if he's looking at you there, there's only maybe Andre Dillard, Jonah Williams, Juwan Taylor. If they're on the board, go one of them. But Dalton Risner, if he is a consolation prize, it's a pretty good consolation prize.
The Texans don't have to take a tackle in the first round, but I think need and value will match up there.
They do.
Probably should. You think they definitely do. All right, they also have picks 54 and 55. Love the back-to-back picks. I'm going Julian Love, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, and then wide receiver Terry McLaurin out of Ohio State. I think they both need and value match up well there too, because more cornerback depth in Houston was one of their weaknesses over the last couple of years. McLaurin adds a route runner to that offense.
Yeah, Kareem Jackson gone. Jonathan Joseph is not going to play there forever. So I added Sean Bunting to the mix. I think he's athletic and has some size to him. And then Thornhill, just more athleticism to that defense is what I was focusing on with those 2 picks. Some to that secondary because, like I said, they're getting a little old and slow the past season. Get some infusion of youth.
And that's why I doubled up at corner in the 3rd round with Jamel Dean from Auburn. Ran a sub 4.4 40 despite being just a monster outside at Auburn. I like him in the 3rd round, even though he had gotten a little bit of first-round hype after that crazy combine. Doubling up at corner for me in my Houston draft.
Yeah, if he's there, that's great value. We love that value, and doubling up would not be the craziest thing in the world. Would go a long way to fixing that secondary. I had the same sort of thought along the offensive line. Nate Davis out of Charlotte, maybe a little bit of a project, but doubling up on the offensive line with how big of a need it is, can't go wrong.
All right, let's move on to the Indianapolis Colts. They have 4 picks within the first 2 days, starting at number 26 overall. Jerry Tillery, we're much higher on him than the rest of the consensus, meaning he should be there, or could be there, at number 26. That feels like a slam dunk for the Colts. That's why I grabbed him there.
Yeah, Chris Ballard loves him some longer defensive ends. I went zone corner, Byron Murphy. If he's there, best zone corner in the draft, in our opinion. And they run a ton of zone there, as much zone as anyone else in the NFL and Indy, and his instincts in that defense would be he'd have some playmaking ability to that secondary.
Murphy, a good zone fit in round 1. I think Justin Lane is a very good zone fit, excellent cover 2 corner, fits the Colts scheme in round 2. I think he's one of the guys that they should be targeting there with that 34th overall pick. Worked well in my mock. Yeah. And I love your pick, not gonna lie, A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss.
A.J. Brown, our 2nd-rated wide receiver. I mean, he's right up there with DK Metcalf in our eyes. He's probably a more complete receiver than Metcalf. You're getting that guy at the wrap in round 2. That'd be a great pick for that offense, and I think he's NFL ready to step in right away for them.
And then with the number 59 overall, their second round pick, I'm going Juan Thornhill, adding a little bit more coverage on the back end. Put Thornhill with Malik Hooker back there. You can move him around, maybe even try him at corner if you need to, but I found another corner later on. Whereas you're going Zach Allen, just adding to that front 7.
Yeah, Allen is similar mold to Tillery. He plays more outside than Tillery, who plays inside, but both similar body types, and I think that's, like I said, what the Colts covet. And then add someone who's a sure run defender. That's what they seem to have, is a lot of run-first guys, but he can add some as a pass rusher as well, hopefully.
I really like our Colts drafts. I think we knocked it out of the park for them. I went Jawan Williams, the cornerback out of Vanderbilt, who again is a really good zone fit. Cover 2 type of guy. You've just added 2 really good cover 2 corners in my draft, whereas you're going with the athletic interior D lineman, Kalen Saunders out of Western Illinois.
Yeah, knows and need there, but knows value in the NFL today just isn't that much. And so if you're going to take that with, the 26th overall pick, if you're going to take Dexter Lawrence there, I think if you're getting Kalen Saunders at 89, he can do a pretty good impersonation of Dexter Lawrence for much less draft capital, and it's still a nose tackle. It's not really that valuable position. Neither of those guys are going to be on the field 3 downs, but Saunders, I think, can add some pass rush when he is.
Quick break to tell you about our friends over at Legendary GM. The Pro Football Draft is coming up on April 25th, a special time for fans and a frustrating time for many hardcore fans who know the draft could have gone better for their team. Did you ever question your general manager's draft selections? Have you ever said, I could have drafted better than this? Introducing Legendary GM, the first ever platform that allows you to draft for any pro football team. Draft against your GM and draft against your friends to see who knows best. Legendary GM is simple, fun, and will give you bragging rights for years to come. Unlike traditional fantasy football, Legendary GM is easy to set up and manage. Draft players your team really needs and get rewarded when your players perform during the season. Finally, there's an alternative to traditional fantasy football. So what are you waiting for? Prove you know better than the pros, the experts, and your friends. Go to legendarygm.com now to sign up, and if you use the promo code PFF, you can invite up to 9 additional friends to play for free until the start of the regular season of the NFL. That's legendarygm.com. All right, let's take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 7 feels like one of those tough spots to pick depending on the way the talent falls. In my particular mock draft, Ed Oliver was on the board. I didn't want to force a need. They could still use this interior defensive lineman. I just thought Oliver was a good fit at this point in the draft, hoping that he can develop those pass rush skills that he's flashed, at least on film.
No, I don't think there's any one player that you can pencil into the Jaguars and say, if he's on the board, that's got to be the pick. That's just kind of how their roster is set up at this point. But I went DK Metcalf just because of how little talent they have for Nick Foles to be throwing to at this point. I get that there's a deep wide receiver class that you can get a guy in round 2 as well, but well, if you get a guy at 7, that's not going to stop me from drafting him in round 2 either because of how much they need at the wide receiver position. DK Metcalf fits nicely with the way Foles throws the ball down the field.
And I went with a different styled wide receiver on the second round. In the turn there, Deebo Samuel out of South Carolina, a little bit better, but route runner, can work out of the slot. I think he's going to be really good value early second round for a number of wide receiver needy teams. That's probably the range where he's going to go, whereas you decided to go cornerback with David Long.
Yeah, David Long played in the slot right away. Slot a little bit of an issue for them a season ago. And you can go 3 across then and play man coverage, which I believe they need to do more of.
They have enough corners in Jacksonville,
defense.
Mike.
Play more man coverage. David Long in the slot. You would be the best defense in the NFL if you played that sort of scheme.
Legitimately cannot have enough cornerbacks. David Long's a great fit. Then they have 2 third-round picks. I'm going Jay Sternberger, the tight end out of Texas A&M. Stretch the seam, another playmaker for Nick Foles, and then developmental tackle Titus Howard out of Alabama State. Love the value that I've gotten there in the third rounds. That also matched up with needs for the Jags.
Yeah, played some right tackle there, could step in at right tackle. Not necessarily just a developmental guy. I think he showed at the Senior Bowl that he can pass protect right away. Maybe not at a super high level, but can step in and start. I went Caleb McGarry for similar reasons there at 69, and then Connor McGovern could play on the interior where AJ can that they re-signed, but still is a bit of an issue. So I think we're solidified the right side of that line.
All right, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans. They pick number 19 overall. They're another one of the teams that's a little bit tough to just pin down a perfect fit for them. I'm going A.J. Brown, though, the good route running wide receiver. I think he'd be a really nice complement to what Corey Davis brings on the other side for the Titans. Can win from the slot. And after the catchability, I think Brown just brings a really nice weapon for Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, I like Brown. I went Tillery on the interior because I think how much that would impact opposing offenses if you put someone next to Jarrell Casey there. He's really been on his own in terms of creating interior pressure. You get 2 guys in there, all of a sudden creates a lot of havoc, a lot more sacks for Harold Landry there and Cam Wake on the outside if that's the case.
And then in round 2, I'm going Nasir Adderley. In my particular mock, he was available. He's a first-round type of talent. This was more, hey, look, he's on the board. I'm taking him at this point. Throw him back there with Kevin Byard, and we've got incredible range from our safeties.
Yeah, again, at second round, if there is a value staring at you, I don't think the Titans roster, especially at safety, is such that I'm going to say no, just let me draft a different position that I need. I went LJ Collier there for similar reasons. You got Cam Wake, you got Harold Landry, but wouldn't kill you to add another. Now you have Jerry Tillery, LJ Collier. You revamp that D-line, could be one of the best in the NFL with that group. That's
been a spot. Their whole front 7 has needed a little bit of that revamp as far as pass rush goes over the last couple of years. And again, that's why I added Kalen Saunders, just another good talent, another guy to sit behind Jarrell Casey, learn and develop, and then become the guy to potentially take over.
I love that Saunders fit in terms of he could learn from Jarrell Casey, undersized in his own right, 6 foot, 324 pounds, could learn how to play that small man game that Jarrell Casey has perfected there with the Titans, and have 2 of those guys on the interior. I went Yeldy Froholt, the guard, lost both guards there, need someone to protect for Marcus Mariota. I think he's NFL ready from that perspective.
So there you have it. It's our AFC South head-to-head mock draft, all brought to you by Legendary GM.